to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Ghost Rider number 2, cover dated June 1990. So this is Ghost Rider volume 3. The Ghost Rider in question is Daniel Ketch. We have the cover caption, "The Spirit of Vengeance Rides Again." Second issue coming on, hot on the heels of a double-sized first issue that is, for me anyway, iconic. And so how is that iconic and memorable opening and reintroduction of the Ghost Rider into the Marvel Universe going to get followed up in the second issue? Something to note here is that very often retailers would lower their orders on a second issue. First issues, of course, sell very well. And so the second issue of this volume of Ghost Rider, less were printed, and then it really went up in value afterwards because this title was a huge hit for the next couple of years until around issue 25 or so, and certainly until the end of the Spirits of Vengeance event and Andy Kubert's stint on the title. The cover image itself is by Javier Saltares, penciling and inking himself. It's pretty dynamic, but it feels to me like it would work a little bit better as a splash page than as a cover. I think that we should have a larger focus on Ghost Rider on the bike there, that really cool bike designed by Javier Saltares. And I think also maybe better for the corner box would be a close-up on Ghost Rider's flaming skull. Let's open this one up to the splash page, and I kind of find this splash page very interesting. You know, it doesn't feature the main character at all. It picks up from events in the first issue. The title of the story is "Do Be Afraid of the Dark." And the creative team down here on the trash can: Howard Mackie, writer; Javier Saltares, penciler; Mark Texeira, inker; Michael Heisler, letterer; and Gregory Wright, colorist. And I do like Greg Wright's colors on this title, and in the same era, Jim Lee's Punisher War Journal. So we've got the Cypress Pool gang here fleeing from, as it will turn out, the Kingpin's henchmen. And I really like the angle here, the upshot on the fire escape there, the external fire escape. And they're in panic here, running down this darkened alley with that looming shadow behind them. So no Ghost Rider here, but I like, there's something about this unconventional splash page that I do like. So let's continue. We have the gang here running towards a park. The action is taking place in Brooklyn. We'll lose them if we make it into the park, get up the stairs and we're home. Really like the drawing there of those steps with the railings there to the side as well, leading into the darkened park at night. And then they're cut off by the arrival of these cars. It's like watching, like a daytime movie or something like that, the way that Javier Saltares is laying out the action. It's really good stuff. So the goon here grabs one of the gang, and threatens him, "Where are the canisters? Otherwise he's going to shoot him." "Canisters," says the boy. "What canisters? I don't know what you're talking about." So the goon throws him on the ground, and he says to the boy about his boss, he says that you took off with a suitcase belonging to him. The suitcase had some canisters in it. He wants them back, and you're going to take me to them right now. So he's basically threatening the boy that he's going to shoot him, but what's this rumbling from the park? And then this light that is blinding the goon. "You in the bushes, who you playing with, moron? Come out now or you're wasted where you stand." Would have been great if this was on a page turn, but a very nice anchor image there of Ghost Rider on the bike emerging from the darkness of the park. And the man recognizes him. Ghost Rider's been in the news over the last couple of days with his rebirth in blood and fire. He's the Spirit of Vengeance. He's the Ghost Rider. "That's the guy," says the goon, "who took out Vic and his men last week," aka in the previous issue. So they start shooting at him. Somebody's got an Uzi there, and Ghost Rider is tagged by those bullets, knocked back into the bushes. Really like the storytelling there as he's knocked off the bike by the impact of the bullets. I like the little detail of the spurs on the back of his boots there. And then the guys are cock-a-hoop. He wasn't so tough. Vic's men must have been a bunch of wimps. "These kids ain't gonna help us, Eldon," says this guy. "Let's just smoke them." And, well, hold on a second. I don't think that the Ghost Riders is easily dealt with as that. So let's turn the page, get past these advertisements. And yeah, of course, look at the fist emerging with the gauntlet out of the bushes. And just these, I love these panels here. As he's grabbing the guy by the throat, his hat comes off. He's punching him there with the spikes on that knuckle duster around his fist. Well, he's getting ready. He's like threatening to punch him. No, wait, please, begs the guy, and punches him right in the face. So that's going to draw some blood there, and that's the implication of the colours. Patience is not a characteristic of the Ghost Rider, declares the third-person narration, nor is mercy. And I love the little details of his chain there, swinging around the back of his leg as well. It's really, really well done. Interesting choice here to have this horizontal panel, all the figures in silhouette, but it's also very readable. Most men would melt with fear attacked by 4 heavily armed killers. But the Ghost Rider is not a man, nor is he capable of experiencing fear. So he goes into action, takes the guys out, swinging his chain around, grabs this guy, lassos him by the legs. Not tonight. Tonight he wants answers, and he knows how to get them. So great action sequence here. Really love this bottom panel, horizontal panel, as he's pulling the guy that he's lassoed by the legs along the road, in the air though, so he's not dragging him on the ground. Love the detail of the fiery wheels of the motorcycle leaving that trail across the ground. Slight little Dutch angle there. Love the speed lines as well, and Gregory Wright's lighting of the back of the man's trench coat from the fiery flames on the ground, on the road surface. That's really well done. Great action sequence to open the issue. Really good stuff. And this is interesting. Ghost Rider's motorbike is capable of supernatural feats like driving straight up the side of a building. And Ghost Rider dangles the goon off the top of the building. You will now tell me why you wanted to hurt those children, says Ghost Rider, and for whom you work. So the guy says, we were just going to rough them up for some information. He spills that he works for the Kingpin, and he says here, I love the angle, like we're looking down at the guy as he's hanging over the side of the building. I just wanted to make the big score, he says, and getting good with him, the Kingpin. I'm going to be sick. So Ghost Rider lifts him up. What are in these canisters that makes them so valuable? But the goon doesn't know, and then Ghost Rider uses his penance stare on him. He says, this will never happen again, endangering the lives of innocent children. So the guy is left traumatized there on the top of the roof of the apartment building. And this is really cool, the way that Ghost Rider drives his bike off the top of the building, and then he drives down the front of the building opposite. That's really well done, and just the trail of flame there as he arcs over on the bike and then driving down the front of that building on the other side. Eldon Lambert peers into eyes which reflect every transgression from his past. He experiences all the pain that he has inflicted on others. His mind burns with the mental anguish of his victims. So that's Ghost Rider's penance there. It's a kind of contrapasso. It's a kind of like an ironic eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth type punishment, like something out of Dante's Inferno, like Ghost Rider's The Spirit of Vengeance from Dante's Inferno. So here he is driving on the street. The gang see him, they recognize him, and the boy says he saved Paulie and Ralphie when those heavy hitters blasted Jamaica Avenue apart. That was in the previous issue, the first issue, trying to get those stupid canisters. And the boy is impressed. Man, he's hot, he says. So Ghost Rider races off to Cypress Hills, the cemeteries, and Ghost Rider transforms into his human host, Danny Ketch. And Danny is traumatized. Like, this is the beginning of his experience of being the human avatar for the Spirit of Vengeance. Dan Ketch once again emerges from his living nightmare into the darkness of his memories, into the darkness of reality as he runs off into the dark. That is really, really good stuff. Love Gregory Wright's colours. And now we're going to get the plot moving along here. Jamaica Estates, the home of Detective Frank Loretti, a 12-year highly decorated veteran of the NYPD. For 12 years, he performed hazardous duty without a thought for his own safety. His sanctuary and sanity rest in the security of the home that he and his wife Alicia have made for themselves and their son Anthony. Sanity has no place in the darkness. So he's there watching TV with a beer. The lights go off, the power goes off. He grabs his home defense gun. Instinct honed on the streets takes over. He senses the presence of an intruder lurking in the darkness. Policemen aren't afraid of the dark. Detective Loretti should be. So this is a great shot of him here, nice little kind of Dutch angle as well. He's thinking to himself, okay, dirtbag, I know you're out here. Maybe I can't see you, but I can feel you. How's this going to work out? Well, badly. So the gun is grabbed from him. He punches the assailant, but it's like punching rock. So he asks this figure in silhouette, what do you want from me? I desire information, says the figure. Information I will receive immediately, or you will watch your wife and son die. So the guy begs, not my family. I'll tell you whatever you want to hear. And look at this smile. Look at those fangs. Of course you will, detective. Of course you will. 15 minutes later, the detective is dead. He's strung up. And our vampiric figure says, thank you, detective. You've been most cooperative. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to borrow your notebook. I didn't think you would. So he's got the leads there on one of the Cypress Pool gang, and he's smiling there, blood across his lips, walking out of the house, and he's already murdered. He'd already murdered the wife and child there, the son, Anthony. Sometimes I do so love my work, he says, and I'm so good at it. And he walks away on the sidewalk. Great top-down angle there. Love the lighting too, the casting of shadow. It's really, really good stuff. No electricity working in the area. He moves in darkness. Detective Loretti's confession in his notebook should lead us to the canisters in short time. The light at the end of the tunnel is in sight. I despise that expression, he says to himself, because he is Blackout. Later that day, Dan Ketch wakes up in his own bed, and he gets a fright to someone in the room, so he bangs his head off the bookshelf just directly above him. That's not a good place to put a bookshelf in your bedroom, but it's only his mother there, and she's come in to wake him up. Time to get up, sleepyhead, she says. I wish you wouldn't stay out so late. She's worried about her only son because her daughter's in the hospital, Barb. I worry so after what happened to Barbara. If anything were to happen to you, I don't know what I'd do. And she continues, and Daniel comforts his mother and says, everything's going to work out, Mom, I'm sure of it. Look how rough are the drawings here in this particular panel, but it reads well and it conveys the information that we need in order to understand what is going on. A few minutes later, it's breakfast time, and Danny's girlfriend, Stacy, is there. And so it looks like maybe they might have a nice day ahead of them. But Daniel sees the paper, Ghostwriter, terror spreads, the Daily Bugle. And you see he doesn't have full memories of what happens when he transforms into the Ghostwriter. So he's deeply upset there. He apologizes to Stacy for knocking the chair over and flinging the newspaper on the ground. He says, it's just that all this violence, I've got to stop it. She asks the obvious question, how can you? You can no more stop this Ghostwriter thing than you could have prevented Barb's injury. You can't blame yourself for everything. But in a way, Danny is to blame, in part for Barb being in the cemetery that night, or at least for not insisting that they stay away from the danger. But Barb was an adventurous spirit, so in a sense she kind of got herself into the trouble as well. But Danny feels guilty. But what I find interesting on this particular page, like we've got a classic 6-panel grid, and there's no real action in this scene except for Daniel getting up from the table, knocking the chair over. But it's interestingly laid out. It's not exactly John Buscema, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way, but it's nicely done and it reads well. And also what I find intriguing is the looseness of Mark Texeira's inking. You can see it here on the figures here in particular. It's basically that I have a sense that probably Saltares and Texeira, they're just doing the work that they need to do to move on to pages maybe that they're more interested in drawing. But it's solid stuff on this particular page. Then it's dusk. The Offices of International Contractors Unlimited. What a vague name for a company. An organization overseen by a man who calls himself Death Watch, and that's an ominous name indeed. So the lights go out, but there's an infrared system that's engaged, and so Death Watch can see Blackout. Once again, my apologies for my light dampening abilities, says Blackout, but it really is a matter of self-preservation. So he's there to tell Deathwatch that he has a lead now on the location of the canisters, and Deathwatch says to Blackout, had my men brought any one of the children present at the junkyard that night to me last week as I requested, none of this would be necessary, but I'm enjoying myself, so yes, let's just see how much. So this is a weird little scene as he's kind of caressing Blackout's face there. It's strange stuff. And then the scene switches to, oh wait a minute, I know what's happening here, sorry, it's his power, how he is, he's able to see psionically the deaths of people that have been murdered by someone. So here he's able to see the murder of Detective Loretti. Deathwatch's fingers psychically enter Blackout's brain, stroking synapses, absorbing the short-term memories. He witnesses death. He experiences ecstasy. Now that's really creepy stuff. Like, that is creepy, creepy, creepy indeed for a Comics Code Authority approved issue of a Marvel comic in 1990. In any case, the scene moves on. The two lads here congratulating themselves on getting closer and closer to those canisters. The MacGuffins, in terms of what it is that's in them, that we never do learn, but everybody wants them, the Kingpin and Deathwatch. New York University Medical Center then, that same evening. So Danny's there to visit his sister who's in a coma. Great establishing shot of St. Luke's Hospital there. Great top-down angle on the hospital bed of his sister Barb, and he's there talking to her because that's one of the things they recommend for people in comas, that you go in and you talk to them like they're conscious. So he goes through his fears. I don't know what happens when I'm transformed, he says to Barb, into that thing. It feels as though I fall into a dark place inside myself, and the entire time that I'm the Ghost Rider, I stay in that dark place. You remember how when we were little I was afraid of the dark, Barb? He asks her. Well, sometimes I'm still afraid. Like this, as he goes over to the Venetian blinds and he pulls one down to look out from the hospital room. Only now the dark places are in me. That's a great line of dialogue. And you're not here to turn on the lights. That's not so great, but I like that one. You should have left it at that, Harold Mackie. You should have left it at that and then just had, maybe have that speech balloon here outside the hospital room and then seeing the bike parked down there, the one that transforms into the Ghost Rider's motorcycle. And then the scene switches back to Cypress Hills. Look at the little Dutch angle again. It's so interesting. It's getting dark. And it is the house of one of the gang members. And the boy there, he's playing computer games. All the lights go out. We know who it is. We know it's Blackout. He's there, like in the layouts. We're getting the play on like a horror movie tropes. He's trying to light a match. The match burns his hand, but the match wouldn't light. So how is his hand burnt? This is too weird, he says. Then he hears a scream, asking for his parents. Out he comes, more Dutch angle there, looking around the corners of the landing, and then of course Blackout comes up right behind him. This is real horror movie type stuff, really well done. Love the cool blues and greens of Gregory Wright's palette here. It's really good stuff. Look at that menacing face on Blackout there. Look at the fangs ready to chew on the boy's neck. I'll be asking the questions, boys. Boy, he says as he lifts him up, be quick and tell me what became of the canisters you and your street urchin friends stole last week, and I'll see that you join your parents immediately. So the boy kicks him, runs by his parents' bedroom, finds them slaughtered in there. They've been bitten by Blackout. They're dead. And the boy backs right out of the window of his house, crashes out the window, the bedroom window of his parents. He's falling to his death, as it might see, plunging through the darkness towards his death. But who's there to catch him? It's the Ghost Rider. But often in the darkest night there exists a light which cannot be extinguished. So the Ghost Rider grabs him, and Blackout jumps out of the bedroom window, says, "Thank you for saving the child for me. I was not quite finished with my interrogation." He's confident, isn't he? "Please forgive my manners, but you now must die." But Ghost Rider grabs him. No, actually he punches him in the chest, grabs him with his other hand and tosses him over his shoulder. Again, this is great storytelling here. Love the way that Blackout just happens to land beside this shovel. He's still asking about the canister, or no, Ghost Rider's asking him about the canisters. And of course, Blackout lies to him. Blackout lies to him. "I've no idea what you're babbling about." Grabs the shovel, swings it at Ghost Rider, but Ghost Rider simply destroys the shovel with one jab of his fist there, cracks it apart, it splinters. What? How? Blackout is shocked. "Indeed, you're strong, my friend," he says, "but strength can easily be overcome with speed and leverage." So let's see how the fight continues here. Get past the advertisements. Yeah, we're at the last page. Putting an end to your infernal interference, throws Ghost Rider right into the front of the house, smashing the wooden planks of the house. Blackout goes up to the boy. The boy's backed into the corner there. Ghost Rider gets up and Blackout says, "You are persistent and a bit out of my class in more ways than one. Oh well, next time." So Blackout runs away and the boy insists that Ghost Rider get him. But Ghost Rider says, "No, he's gone, but next time." Now that's a little bit strange. I mean, like, why doesn't Ghost Rider hop on his motorcycle and go right after Blackout? He should be able to do that, but of course, the plot demands that he doesn't. Next, the conclusion. Yeah, so the first 3 issues of the title constitute the opening storyline. We had a double-sized issue with issue number 1. Now we get a regular-sized issue, and the same again with issue number 3. Interesting advertisement there for RoboCop comic. I picked up some issues of that. It wasn't too bad at all. And there you go. No letters yet for the title, but they will come soon. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on Ghost Rider Volume 3, Number 2. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section to the video. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like the video on YouTube and share it too. It really does help the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.